Hello, Rebel! Welcome to episode 4 of Foul Language. And this week we are spending 16 turns on the pitch with our very own Squiggy. Squiggy, you may know him as Squiggy, you may know him as Mr. Squig, you may know him as Squiggy McSquiggington if you decide to do a gamble and just make things up. You may also believe that he knows more about Blood Bowl than most coaches have forgotten. Or the other way around, I don't know. And, you may also feel that he genuinely feeds on the blood of rookies, because he seems to really like them, and I don't know why. All I can tell you is that he is the head admin of the ReBBL Rookie League, because last season's original Reddit Rookie League was phenomenally successful, so he kind of kidnapped him. We're going to find out more right now. So, hey, Squiggy.
Hello.
And how the hell are you doing, sir?
I'm alright, sir. Thank you very much. How about your good self?
We're getting by. We're getting by. We've got you in the background here. We've got one of your games up. It was a training game versus Powered. We've got Norse versus Lizard, so that's just going to run on whilst we go through the questions. So what I would like to know, first of all, is just a quick summary of you. A little bit about yourself.
Okay. Right, my real name's Andy. I'm originally from Ireland, but I've lived in England since I was 3 years old, hence the lack of accent. I'm 35. By profession, I'm a chef, and in my dreams, I'm the world's greatest Blood Bowl coach.
Isn't everybody, though? Unfortunately, no, I'm not. It's not even in my dreams, I'll be honest. We are going to start the first half with a regular question, because we are getting to the point now. Wow, that was not good. Your first block, first turn injury, whoops. Norse getting beaten up in the background. We're going to start with a regular question, because we have now started to get questions that are asked every week, and some of them are just really, really good regardless. So, how did you get into Blood Bowl?
Tabletop or online?
Any. Blood Bowl originally. Where did your first experiences with Blood Bowl come from?
1993. It was my 12th birthday, actually, and I'd asked my mum for some Games Workshop models, because I'd been playing Warhammer for a little while. And she told me that it was getting too expensive and I needed to pick a game where I could buy the models. I'd never need any more models. And she'd buy me expansion packs and whatnot, but she wasn't buying, as she put it, any more of them little bloody things that I keep standing on.
Unfortunately, it seems your mother doesn't understand Games Workshop very well, because...
Not at all.
You always need more, right?
Exactly. Well, my Savage York Army and my Night Goblin Army certainly agreed with you. But she told me to go in and look at like the smaller games. I was really into Gokumorka, Necromunda, and I saw Blood Bowl. They had the table out for a demonstration game. I had a go, and I immediately just went, "This is amazing!" And so she bought me 2 teams, Wood Elves and Skaven, and I took them home. And my next door neighbour, who was into Warhammer as well, I banged on his door and said, "Hey, come see this." And about a week later, we had 6 of us at school starting a Blood Bowl league.
Oh, that's fantastic. And of course, this was where the love of Wood Elves was born, I assume.
Yeah, and the hatred of Skaven.
So, with regards to the games, I know, and a lot of people will know you from Blood Bowl 1.
Yeah.
Because up until recently, you've not had a great shot at running Blood Bowl 2 very well. You've given it a good going, but you spent a lot of time with Blood Bowl 1 as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've got about 2,800 hours on Blood Bowl 1. That's on Steam. My Legendary Edition was a physical copy, so maybe another 1,000 on top of that.
That's insanity. This is a man who loves his Blood Bowl, folks. And that's why, as I say, it comes back to you having forgotten more than most coaches would probably know at this point. Now, okay, question 2 is actually from My Stairs of the Knights Who Say Knee. And basically, I'm assuming this is a cost of victory type question, because obviously you are a Wood Elf coach and you used to play as dying. He wants to know, would you rather sacrifice every other elf on your team, or just both War Dancers for a win?
But by doing so, I get the win.
Yeah.
The War Dancers die.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
A War Dancer out of the box is an amazing piece for 120,000 gold. Coming with block and dodge is just invaluable. Leap, I very rarely use it, to be honest, but it changes my opponent's mindset. It changes my opponent's defense. As long as I could afford to buy a rookie and train him up again, then yeah, because linemen get too many skills that are too difficult to get. You can't afford to feed them touchdowns when you need your war dancers to have tackle, your catchers to have block. I couldn't afford to sacrifice, say, a guard lineman, a kick lineman, a dirty player lineman, and 2 blodge catchers just to keep 2 developed war dancers alive. Even my precious would die.
Well, that's kind of very helpful. Again, I suppose all of the questions we've kind of picked, because of your work with the newbies, we're trying to aim towards questions that will help them as well. And I know a lot of people would tend towards protecting the war dancers simply because they're big and expensive and really, really nice players. So it's really interesting to hear you say the opposite, actually. And yeah. Right, another regular question is going to go through for question number 3 while I choke to death in the background. Which is, what is your favourite skill and player? 2 questions there for the price of 1.
My favourite skill would probably be, oh Lord, diving tackle. Because very few people expect it.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition and these. I just got this image now of like red dudes in red robes diving around the pitch trying to tackle people. No, sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's a brilliant image. I wish I had a green screen so I could just project that right now. No, I found that with diving tackle, it wins me games that I wouldn't expect to win. I mean, you expect it on, say, a couple of dark elves, a couple of high elves. But on my orc team, for example, I have 2 kill blitzers and 2 no blitzers. And those blitzers are designed to just stop you doing whatever the hell you're trying to do. And diving tackle is an integral part of that. It has won me more games than any skill other than kick, I'd say.
Wow, fantastic. And obviously as well, when it comes to like diving tackle and orcs, we have our very own Gerber and his maybe orcs will work, who has a ridiculously scary diving tackle blitzer there that he's actually taken to the playoffs.
That is my favourite team in ReBBL, frankly. Maybe it will work. I've been watching those games. I've been following the progress. And I genuinely hope to see them in the Super Bowl.
I'd love it. I think Gerber's a great coach as well, so it's an entire possibility. As far as what your favourite player, any player from any team, and why?
In the modern iteration of the game, it will be the Wood Elf War Dancer for obvious reasons. The only reason I would have sacrificed them is because they are just so damn good out of the box.
Agreed. No, I see that, yeah.
In the older iterations of the game, I wasn't a huge fan of them because the rules were so different. For example, you could build a Black Hawk to be one of the best passers in the game. Because throwing long distances was based on your strength.
No, agreed, yeah. I mean, the game has changed so much over the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been playing since I was about 14 or something, so that's a long time.
We're old.
Yeah, this is true. We're old and beardy type coaches at this point. Now,
both of us, mate.
We're going to move to question 4, which was actually from another Super Bowl. Which is actually from one of our Super Bowl potentials. I should say a playoff guy, but I have faith in Walkathon and his Aster Orcs because I love this Orc team too. They're another great looking Orc team. But yeah, they're definitely in the playoffs, and I'm assuming they're going to take names and kick ass. But he wants to know, if you never had to play against a race ever again, which race would you opt to never? I mean, I'm assuming I probably know this because it's probably most coaches' answer, but you may surprise us. And to extend that, if you could only pick one race to play forever, who would you pick?
If I could only pick one race to play myself forever, it'd be Pro Elves. I find them the most fun team in the game. Goblins are amazing. I love Goblins. And there's a lot of great teams, but I love Pro Elves. I love shenanigans. I love the way you can build a team to just annoy the living hell out of your opponent with style.
That's very true, and they've got some really silly skills out the box as well. They've got some really nice players that just literally from scratch.
It's cheap linemen that I like.
Cheap but fragile.
Yeah, very much so, but no more so than a Wood Elf lineman or a Skaven lineman, other than they can't run away quite as quickly.
Well, yeah, but Skaven linemen
line, it's what elves really lack.
That's true, actually. I mean, I've never thought of it like that, but then again, I haven't really played a lot of Pro Elves, so... so which race would you... If you could opt to never play a single race again, who would you never play against?
Amazons.
Wow.
Amazons. I would... Oh, I hate them. I played 3 games as Amazons, and halfway through my 3rd game, I just went, I never want to see these bitches again.
Wow. Just all of the dodge just makes stuff
There's
shenanigans.
that. There's that. But what I like about the teams that I play is the diversity of skills and the diversity of stats. I mean, yeah, Wood Elves are all quick, apart from the treatment. But every player's got a task, a role. Undead, again, you got movement 4, you got movement 7. Amazons, it's 6-3-3-8 across the board. It's a nice training team, but I find them so boring.
And having dodge on everyone's a really nice, friendly start. Although dodge on on a AG3 isn't the best. It's better than not having it. But no, I see that. I see that. I kind of expected that, as most coaches would probably say. I think most coaches would shoot for dwarves.
I like playing dwarves. It becomes a battle of how many can I score before the last man gets carted off the pitch, and by then have I got a big enough lead that I've won the game. I don't care if all my players die. I care about winning.
Fair. I see that. All right, cool. Where are we? Okay, this was a really good one, and I think I kind of know the answer to this because you've talked about some of your grudge matches before. But Lydius of the Fruitiest of Kisses. It's not, it's Fruity Kisses, but I just jazzed it up a little bit. Wants to know if you could replay any match against any player that you've played before, who would it be? In fact, if you could play a match against any player you've played against, who would it be? What teams would you use, and would it be a rematch or a fresh, or would it be a new game? So if you could challenge one person to a match.
Oh man! Well, first of all, that's a brilliant question. I wish I'd have thought of asking people that. That is a fantastic question. There's 2 names that spring to mind for very different reasons. The first one would be I'd like to play against the Sage again, and I'd like it to be a replay of my dwarves against his Skaven. Now I won, but I won purely through luck. I made one good move in the game that saved the game from being a tie. And other than that, I beat him purely because the dice favoured me. And there was no indicator of how much better than me he was, or how much better than I am he is. Whatever. But I'd like to play him again on an even playing field and see how I do. Because I've got maximum respect for that guy as a coach. And it left a sour taste in my mouth that I won through dice.
Yeah, no one really likes winning when you dice though. It feels bad like.
The other name would be a guy from Blood Bowl 1 called Smokes G60. The first time I ever played against Goblins was him, and he pitch cleared me 3 times in one game.
Wow.
On turn 16, I had 1 player left. He stood on the line of scrimmage and a thrown rock killed him. The final result was 8 dead, 4 retired, 2 badly hurt, and 1 KO.
What? That is amazing and
And
terrible at the same time.
3-1. And I would love to play him again purely to pick his brains on how the hell he did it, because it was not luck. He is the best Goblin coach I've ever come against.
Wow. Well, I'm hoping they get the goblins out sooner rather than later, so you can come and join us. Because
Smokes, if you're out there and you hear this somehow, please, first of all, come and give me a masterclass in Goblins, and second of all, rematch. I've learned a bit since then, pal.
Okay, so another good question, a bit of a lengthy one from Haringzord of the Bargain Boozers. One of your journeymen gets a kill and steals the MVP for good measure.
Cheeky get.
Now he has. It's a journeyman. It always happens, doesn't it? Right. So he's now leveled because he's got 7 SPP. He's got one of Cyanide's ridiculous garbled attempts at doing an elf name. Do you sign him on the basis that he's got a free level up, or do you kick him because your naming theme is more important, or does it depend on what the team looks like?
In a league, he gets fired. Simple as. I love my names. I mean, I will score for food. I put some real effort into that. He gets fired because the name doesn't fit. It's as simple as that. In Call, I'd keep him, and I'd roll the dice, and if it was a double or a stat up, I'd keep him. Otherwise, I'd fire him, because I don't care about my Call players. They're just pieces. I'd probably keep him in that circumstance.
That's fair. Which one rule or player would you change if you had the chance? Now, this is a regular question, but it's a really good one. I like this one.
I'd buff fouling back to its original form. I'd either make dirty player +1 to armor and +1 to injury, or I'd do the rather controversial sneaky git changes, where sneaky git works as guard on fouls.
Ooh. I don't see why that's controversial. That actually makes Sneaky Git potentially good.
That's the problem. There's two different schools of thought on sneaky git and how it needs to be changed, and that's one of them, but it's not the most popular.
Fair. Well, we're actually coming up to the end of the first half in the game. We've got one more question left, so let's knock it out real quick. It is a quick one, but it's a funny one, because we're going to pick up with the second question from this coach afterwards, which is PC Buy from the Confederacy. Would you rather play Spin the Bottle with a dwarf team or a Nurgle team?
Female dwarves or male dwarves?
How do you tell?
I'd ask.
You're a braver man than I.
Well, it depends how luxurious the beards are. Nobody wants a barbed wire bristly kiss. So, if they've groomed the beards and oiled them and put a bit of effort in, who knows?
So you'd prefer a Nurgle to an unoiled beard, is what you're saying?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Fantastic. Okay, and, the second half is just starting on the replay. Second half of questions are just starting. So, as PC Buy himself says, now for the real question. What do you find most rewarding about the Rookie League? Now, you will notice the first questions were all about Blood Bowl. We're now getting into the meat of what you do for the Rebel and what you've been doing with the rookies now. So, it's going to be some real tough questions coming up.
Bring it on.
Okay, so yeah, what do you find the most rewarding about the rookies and the Rookie League?
The fact that so many people are trusting me. Frankly. There's a good 60 players, maybe 55 players there who are going into a league for the first time, once we discount the mentors and the veterans. And every single one of them is trusting me to make their first experience of League Blood Bowl a pleasant and fun experience. And the fact that 55 people have put trust in a guy that they know purely because I answer a few simple questions on the internet is quite humbling, to be honest with you.
Alright, fantastic. And they are, to be fair. I've been hanging around in the Rookie League Discord quite a bit recently. And they're a genuinely great bunch of guys as well.
There's some real potential in there. I'm hoping that a season or two from now, Rebel's going to see an influx of very good coaches.
Yeah, so everyone's going to have to hang on to their positions because, the rookies are coming and there won't be rookies anymore.
There's at least 3 or 4 of them. I'd say that it's not about hanging on to your positions. It's up in your game because they are going to really shake things up.
Fair. Right, now, Invisible Nobody Man, who I did a bit of digging and found out was part of the Ham-Handed Gamblers. I say I did a bit of digging, I asked you. But, it makes me sound important and like I work hard if I pretend. He wants to know, because he feels you're far too nice to them as noobs. So what are your ulterior motives? Which I think I'm going to translate to what are you looking to get out of this long term?
That's a tricky one. Actually, I do have several ulterior motives. One is that I'm hoping to train up a couple of the newer players so that they catch the bug like I did and they can jump on and help me, make my life easier. Maybe find 1 or 2 of the rookies that are interested in running their own leagues, delegate a little bit of responsibility to them, let them taste what it's like to be a commissioner, be an admin. And who knows, 6 months from now, my rookie league could be half empty because they found much better leagues to go and play in.
Hey, the rookie league's part of Rebel, man. There is no better leagues.
I'm on about the Rebel big leagues, mate.
I know. To be fair, yeah. I mean, we were always looking out for more folk willing to come join us in your Rebel admin squad, or even just making content and things. So no, that makes perfect sense. And to be fair, there's a lot of potential. What I've seen from the coaches as well.
What I'd really like, though, is I'd really, really like my ulterior motive from day one. I'd love to kill Cole.
I think anyone who spent any time around Cole would probably agree with you there.
Given a 1% opportunity to make it work, the stars align, everything works out perfectly. I'd like the Rookie Spin League to become the de facto new teams league, and for Cole to die the painful death that it so rightly deserves. They've made steps with Champions Ladder to improve things, although it's still not perfect. But I think that putting new players into somewhere like that, into such a toxic environment, will harm the game.
Well, they've brought technically from the synods or numbers, they have brought concede rates down from 60+% in Open down to around 20% in Call Champs. But I think their biggest issue now is they've put Champs before Open when you register for Call.
Yeah.
So that, most people going in see Call as the biggest league and then see the competitive rather than Open as the first choice, and that's not necessarily where they want to be. But I kind of hear where you're coming from there, and I agree with a lot of what you've said. Now, you don't make any secret of the fact that one of your primary, well, I want to say jobs, but primary things you do in life is that you're a caregiver. So Lydius of the Fruity Kisses wants to know if your skill in organising the rookies is an extension of the skills you've learned as a caregiver.
That's an interesting question. Another really good one. I'd say, in a way, yeah. I mean, obviously, they're two completely different fields. But one thing I've had to learn as a full-time carer and parent is time management. I've got 30 minutes free here. What can I do? And with the Rookie League, that 30 minutes might be post the divisions, or it might be check how many tickets have been accepted. It might be verify a couple of games. It might be answer a few questions about a guy in the spin league. And I can time it so that I can get that done and make sure everybody's happy and settled before I head off to work or head off to pick my son up. And I can really be more efficient with my time. And
That
it's
makes
also
sense.
taught me patience. Because my missus, she suffered a stroke when she was 9 years old. There's a lot she can't do. And there's a lot that she can do, but very slowly. And I've had to learn to accept that pace of life, accept that sometimes things take longer than expected, rather than rushing around with my hair on fire at 150 miles an hour like I did for the first 30 years of my life. So as far as that goes, yeah, I think so.
Alright, cool. Right. Unstabler from We're Revolutionary. First thing he wants to say is congratulations on the Newbie League success. You are indeed a scholar and a gentleman, which was very kind and very nice of him.
Thank you.
His question, however, is what is the most difficult part of your role as an admin for the newbies? And do you think that down the line, a couple of seasons, maybe a little bit longer, you're going to pass the reins of the Rookie League off?
The most difficult part, without a shadow of a doubt, is getting people to understand the importance of communication. I made this league with 74 people, and 60 of them had replied to my post, made the team, and were ready to go within a week. Others were taking 3 to 4 weeks to get back to me because, I'm sorry, I didn't look at Discord. I only go on Reddit once every 2 weeks. This is despite the fact me telling them that all communication goes through Reddit and Discord. And although it's not their fault, they've never been in a league environment before, they need to understand the importance of communication. Keeping everyone in the loop, keeping the people informed, doing things in a timely manner. Hanging around when you're waiting for 3 people to do something and there's 60 people there tapping the feet impatiently. Trying to keep those 60 calm while not offending the other 3 that are lagging behind. And not making them go, well, screw you, I'm out of here, this is more pressure than I wanted. Trying to maintain a balance where we keep things going, but we don't leave men behind unnecessarily, is proving far more difficult than I expected.
Okay. And as he asks, do you think at some point you're going to pass off the reins of the Newbie League or the Rookie League, or whatever it's currently called, because it has changed names a couple of times over the first season and a half anyway, so...
Yeah. Well, first off, the name we settled on was ReBBL Rookie League, and then the divisions, the new teams is going to be called the College League, because it's a training program, people are there to learn, and then the Development Teams League is going to be called the Minors, and we're going to use that as a training ground so that people can step up to the Majors, which is ReBBL.
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like the names as well. That's solid.
Discord hive mind. We just chatted and bounced ideas around, and that came out, and I liked it.
Well, as I'll attest, I mean, there's the coaches that work with us in ReBBL are incredibly inventive and do work very, very hard to come up with a lot of names and content and things like that, and that's why I've got so many questions.
Couldn't agree more. They're a really good group and a highly intelligent bunch for the most part.
Right.
Right, would I ever hand over the reins? I'm going to quote my favourite film, Starship Troopers. I'll take the job until I die or you find someone better.
I love Starship Troopers actually as well, so it's
If someone can come along to me and say, look, I've got some great ideas for the league, I think I can improve it, I can be better than you at it, I won't take offence in the slightest. I will hand the league over as soon as they can prove that they are right. And I will say, good luck, congratulations, I hope you do a better job than I did. Because it's all about the rookies and giving them the best experience possible. If I can make myself redundant to make it a better league, I'll do that.
all right. Fair. Now, where was I? Okay, this one is actually one of my questions because I've thrown a couple of questions in here as well. Now, you often say, because we talk about things like this, and we are of a kind of a mind on this one, I think, but you often say that you know almost everything about the game, but you often struggle to translate this to on-pitch success.
Yes.
Is there any reason you think that you have that issue, and what advice would you give to any other coach who found themselves in that situation?
My problem is I'm too mathematical. I literally sit there and go, right, I've got a 97% chance of this working and an 83% chance of this working, which means that with a reroll, I've got 92.6% chance of scoring. And I'll sit there and work out the exact best odds for the best possible play, and then I'll do it. But what I won't think is, what happens if that 7.4% failure rate comes up? Do I have a plan B? Have I covered the backfield? Is there a marker in scoring position to Canora that I haven't covered? And I think about these things just a little bit too late because I get wrapped up in the numbers.
So you assume that your plans are going to work because it should work, but don't take action to prevent it.
I've been screwed by Nuffle once too often per day to ever believe that. But say it's turn 12, I'm 1-0 up, my opponent's got the ball, things are looking really high pressure. Things will slip. I'll still make the most percentage-wise the best play. I'll still run the numbers, I'll still do that successfully. But I'll stop thinking about what if. And I think that's lost me more games than anything else.
So basically your advice in that situation, that I assume would therefore be, think about the what ifs.
Yeah, always have a plan B. And if you've got a plan B, have a plan C.
Okay, fair. Now, Unstabler from We're Revolutionary again. Another good question he's got here. Would you ever be willing to teach a once-a-week class on the basics of Blood Bowl for the benefit of new players?
If people genuinely wanted me to do that, then I'd do it with pleasure. But I honestly think there's better people out there that could teach you more in a better manner. I could easily sit here and recommend half a dozen players and streamers that would do a much, much better job than I would.
But I think a lot
maybe
of the
they're
problem,
not willing or able.
a lot of the problem with those streamers, like for example Sage, is a brilliant coach, and you know you can learn a huge amount from watching Sage's videos.
Yes.
But up until very recently, he's never really done learn the basics of the game. He's always assumed you know a certain amount of basics and has worked from there up.
Sage is a top quality Blood Bowl coach for Blood Bowl fans. That's the real difference. If you're a Blood Bowl fan, you know Sage, you can watch him, you can enjoy him, you can learn from him no matter how good you are. But if you don't know Blood Bowl, I don't think he's the best choice.
And that makes a lot of sense, and I think he himself is aware of that and is looking to take steps. But as you know, I agree with what you're saying there. I think that niche almost is needed. And I did this myself. I did a masterclass stream on Brett for about 5 hours, and I think I had about 50 coaches turn up just because they wanted advice on the very basics of the game. So I think that there is maybe a niche there that could be filled. I think what Unstable was just wanting to know more correctly was, would you be willing to put that time in?
Yes. If there was demand and I thought I could do a good enough job that people would get something out of it, without a doubt, I'd make time.
Okay, well, this actually ties into the next question, which is it's kind of mine, but it's something I think might become a regular question. What kind of content would you want to see coming out of the players in the Rebel that isn't already being made?
Podcasts.
Okay.
I'd love to see Rebel's version of 3 Dice Block, Anything But a 1, you know, triple both down. I'd love to see, for example, you, Gamba, and Falric sit down and discuss the league, or Sage, Ladeus, and Nosedive sit down and discuss optimal skill choices, because I think that'd be hilarious. And also, I do a lot of traveling, a lot of commuting, and podcasts are kind of my go-to entertainment. That's how I discovered anything but a one. And I'd love for ReBBL to have some kind of content along those lines.
Okay, yeah, I really like that. That's an interesting. It's certainly not something I know we've explored as an admin team. So if you're out there and you think you can run a podcast, get in touch with me, guys. Or if you're out there and have some content up your sleeve that you think, what would be really good, yeah, always just reach out, because we always want more content. I mean, that's what makes what we consider makes us who we are, is our focus on just great content. And oh my god, an Norseman just got killed. Whoops.
Yeah, I did suffer in that game a bit, but
there's been a lot of injuries. Right, I've got it up on my second monitor, and I'm just I just saw a dead Norseman pop up, and I was like, wow, that's painful. Right, the final question of the second half, which is actually good because we're coming up to the 16th turn in the game. Since a mysterious benefactor who will remain nameless was doing a really good or terrible impression of Santa and has provided you with some PC parts recently, and you've put some money in your rig yourself, and you've really kind of it's no secret that you've suddenly got a much better rig than you had a couple of months ago.
Thanks to you, yeah.
I was leaving it a mysterious benefactor, but okay. What is your Christmas wish list looking like for games, and what games that you already play is that adding to?
I'm very much looking forward to getting a chance to play Titanfall 2 and Fallout 4. The PC that I have now will run both of those, and it would have probably blown up my last PC. It would have probably just gone kaboom. So I'm very, very much looking forward to playing those games. What was the second part of that question?
What games do you currently play? What's on your currently most played list?
Apart from Blood Bowl, obviously. Blood Bowl 2 followed by Blood Bowl 1, funnily enough. And then Town of Salem I've been playing a lot of recently. And also Team Fortress 2 and Civilization 5, because I'm hearing bad things about Civ 6.
I've not actually picked Civ 6 up yet. I'm probably waiting for a big old Steam sale. But Civ 5 is a classic. I also am aware you've been raving about a game called Factorio as well.
Oh, I love that game. It's almost like 2D Minecraft, except you've got an end goal. It's not just an open sandbox. And with my mind, how it works, I love numbers, I love engineering. This makes this work, which makes this work. I really think people should look into that game because it deserves a far bigger following than it's got.
All right, fantastic. Well, that's the 16 turns survived. Now, normally we do an overtime 5-question rapid fire thing, but to be honest, I was really struggling to come up with 5 questions of a random nature, and I actually decided to do something a little bit more interesting and funny with this one. So, in previous episodes of Foul Language, we've learned some things in the last 3 weeks. We've learned that casual racism is okay if it's among friends, and that if you encounter wild and dangerous native Australian creatures, you can survive by donkey punching them, which was our advice from Walkathon.
Great advice.
If you haven't seen the previous episodes, there's huge spoilers for the content coming up. We've learnt that Gamba is hard-working and busily trying to kill himself to make everyone in the world happy.
That's about as much news as Fire is hot. Gamba worked way too hard and put in way too much effort to do a magnificent job with ReBBL.
And basically, I talk far too much, and I'm generally in charge of dealing with unhappy folks. What life lesson is the wise Squiggy going to impart to the world? Blood Bowl or otherwise? You've got 2 minutes.
Blood Bowl, if it can go wrong, it will. Have a plan B for when it does go wrong. Every now and again, plan B will go wrong. The really great coaches have a plan C and make damn sure it doesn't go wrong. And if you want a prime example of that, watch Sage play Skaven. I took his team apart, frankly, and it was dice. It wasn't skill. Sage, if you're listening, I'm not making any claims that I deserve to win that game. But every time I did something and thought, this is it, this is the breakthrough, he had a plan B, he had a plan C, he had a plan D, for God's sake. I don't think that deep. And the more plans you have and the better you can implement them, the higher your win percentage will be. Sage is living proof of that. Go check his channel out if you don't get what I mean.
If you haven't already seen the games as well, if you've ever watched Sandoon play, Sandoon is a phenomenal coach when it comes to having plans upon plans. He knows what's happening 6 turns away from where he's actually playing right now. So yeah, I'd agree strongly with that. If you're trying to do well in Blood Bowl, plan for everything, and then plan some more. Right, fantastic. Well, you survived foul language. It's that's done and dusted. So thank you so much for joining us, Squiggy. I hope you had a great time.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm genuinely impressed with the content of questions, and thank you very much for having me on. I hope people enjoy watching.
I hope so too, because it's kind of my job at the moment.
Mate, I love your work.
Now, a quick announcement for next week, because we have just locked in our next guest, thanks in part to us talking about it before the show and things. Squiggy's been very helpful as a sounding board, so thank you for that, and thank you for joining us. As I say, you've been a genuine pleasure.
Least I can do, mate.
We actually have locked in the Sage for next week's episode of Foul Language, which is super exciting. We were actually just talking about how good of a coach he is. Well, we now are going to get to learn a little bit about the coach behind the teams. You may have seen him stream, you may not have. But regardless of what's happened, he'll be coming. He'll be talking real with us. But until next time, folks, you stay classy.